Have you ever wondered how a Hebrew infant ended up being raised in an Egyptian palace? The tale of Moses begins in an era of oppression when the Hebrews were enslaved by the Egyptians. The Pharaoh, fearing the rise of a Hebrew leader, ordered the death of all newborn Hebrew males. Amidst this terror, a baby boy named Moses was born. His mother, Jochebed, in a desperate act of love, crafted a waterproof basket, nestled him inside and set him adrift on the Nile River. In a twist of divine providence, the baby was discovered by none other than Pharaoh's daughter. She was moved by the infant's cries and decided to adopt him. Little did she know the child she held in her arms was destined to challenge the very throne she called home. Thus, Moses, a Hebrew by birth, grew up as an Egyptian prince. Imagine coming face to face with a divine entity in a burning bush. What would you do? This was the monumental encounter Moses faced as he tended to his flock in the wilderness. There he stood, transfixed by a bush, engulfed in flames, yet remaining miraculously unscathed. The spectacle was enough to pique any man's curiosity, but what followed was nothing short of extraordinary. From the heart of the flames, God himself spoke to Moses. His voice, as resounding as thunder and as gentle as a whisper, delivered a divine commission. Moses, a humble shepherd, was chosen to play a leading role in one of history's greatest liberation stories. He was tasked with the monumental mission of leading the Israelites out of their bondage in Egypt. Yet, like any of us might, Moses harbored doubts. Who was he to stand against Pharaoh? Who was he to lead a nation? His questions were not met with rebuke, but with reassurance. God, in his infinite wisdom, understood Moses' hesitations and responded with a promise of his unwavering presence. In the midst of his doubts, Moses asked God for his name. The response was profound and deeply symbolic. God declared himself as, "I am who I am." This was not just a name, but a statement of his eternal existence, his unchanging nature, and his boundless power. It was a name that would become a source of strength and reassurance for Moses and the Israelites in the trials that lay ahead. This divine encounter at the burning bush marked a turning point in Moses' life. It was the beginning of a journey that would be fraught with challenges, yet marked by miracles. Moses, who was once a shepherd, was now a chosen leader, equipped with a divine mandate, a powerful name, and a promise of God's enduring presence. With God's name and promise, Moses embarked on his mission to free his people. This was not just a mission of liberation, but a journey of faith, a testament to God's power, and a story that would echo through the annals of history. How does one convince a stubborn Pharaoh to release his slaves, with a display of divine power, of course? This is the essence of the third chapter in Moses' thrilling biblical narrative. Moses, now a messenger of God, was tasked with the monumental challenge of liberating his people from the clutches of the mighty Pharaoh. With the power of God as his ally, Moses confronted Pharaoh, demanding the release of the Hebrews. However, Pharaoh's heart was as hard as the stones of the pyramids. Unmoved by Moses' demands and unimpressed by his warnings, Pharaoh refused to free the Israelites. But the God of Moses was not one to be easily dismissed. His response to Pharaoh's obstinacy was a series of 10 plagues, each more terrifying and devastating than the last. These were not mere threats or displays of power, but divine judgments, aimed at proving the impotence of the Egyptian gods and the supremacy of the God of Israel. The first plague turned the life-giving Nile River into blood. The second brought a horde of frogs that swarmed the land. The third and fourth plagues unleashed gnats and flies, making life unbearable. The fifth plague struck down the Egyptian livestock, and the sixth brought painful boils upon the people. The seventh plague rained down hail, the eighth covered the land with locusts, and the ninth shrouded Egypt in a darkness so thick it could be felt. Yet it was the 10th and final plague that broke Pharaoh's resolve. The death of every firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the prisoner, and even the firstborn of the livestock. A night of such great sorrow that it finally moved Pharaoh to release the Israelites. Overwhelmed by the plagues, Pharaoh finally agreed to release the Israelites. And so, with a heavy heart and a nation in mourning, Pharaoh released his slaves, setting the stage for the next miraculous event in Moses' journey, the Exodus. Have you ever felt trapped with nowhere to go? The Israelites certainly did, until a miracle happened. With the dust of Egypt still on their sandals, the Israelites found themselves cornered. The Red Sea before them and Pharaoh's army closing in fast behind them. Fear surged through the crowd, but at this moment of absolute despair, something extraordinary occurred. God, in his infinite power and mercy, acted through Moses. Raising his staff, Moses beckoned the sea to part. And it did. A path, dry and clear, emerged between the towering walls of water, a divine corridor leading to freedom. The Israelites, once trapped, now had a way out. They crossed the sea floor, with the seawater held at bay on either side. But when Pharaoh's army attempted to follow, the walls of water collapsed, swallowing the pursuers in a watery grave. In one of the Bible's most dramatic moments, the sea parted, granting the Israelites safe passage. Imagine being given a set of laws directly from God. This was Moses' reality on Mount Sinai. In the heart of the wilderness, Moses experienced a divine encounter that would shape the future of the Israelites. Ascending the rugged slopes of Mount Sinai, Moses was enveloped in the thick cloud of God's presence. There he received the 10 Commandments, a set of divine laws that would come to form the moral and legal backbone of the Israelite community. These commandments, etched onto stone tablets by God himself, emphasized a deep love for God and respect for fellow human beings. They included directives such as, "You shall have no other gods before me, honor your father and mother, and you shall not murder." But the wilderness was not just about receiving laws, it was also a place of testing and trial. For 40 years, Moses led the Israelites through this harsh landscape, a journey marked by both divine provision and human rebellion. The Israelites grumbled against Moses, doubting God's promises and longing for the familiarity of Egypt, even if it meant returning to slavery. Throughout this journey, Moses faced rebellion from within his own camp. The most poignant of these was the revolt led by Korah, a member of the Levite tribe. Yet despite these setbacks, Moses remained steadfast, his leadership characterized by humility and unyielding faith in God. In the wilderness, the Israelites also witnessed the miraculous provision of God. From manna falling from heaven to water gushing out of a rock, God ensured their survival in the barren desert. These accounts underscore God's faithfulness, even in the face of human doubt and disobedience. Despite the challenges, Moses faithfully led his people, guided by the laws given by God. His life in the wilderness was a testament to his unwavering trust in God's promises, a beacon of hope for the Israelites amid their wanderings, and a powerful reminder for us today of God's guiding hand in our own wilderness experiences. What makes a great leader? Let's see what we can learn from Moses' leadership. Moses, as depicted in the King James Bible, was a leader of immense character, whose life was marked by a deep connection with the divine, a humble spirit, and an unwavering commitment to his people. His leadership wasn't characterized by grandeur or ostentation, but by a steadfast faith in God and an undying love for his people. One of the key aspects of Moses' leadership was his humility. Despite being chosen by God to lead the Israelites out of slavery, Moses never saw himself as superior. He was aware of his personal shortcomings, yet he never allowed them to hinder his mission. His humility was a testament to his character, and it's something we can all learn from in our own lives. Moses also had a unique relationship with God. This relationship was not one-sided. It was a dialogue, a conversation. Moses wasn't afraid to ask God questions or seek his guidance. This relationship, built on trust and faith, was the cornerstone of Moses' leadership. Just as Moses led his people through the wilderness, he also led them through a spiritual wilderness. He taught them about faith, about trust in God, and about the importance of community. His leadership was not just about the physical journey, but also about the spiritual journey. Moses' legacy is not just about his leadership, but also about his law-giving. The 10 Commandments he received from God on Mount Sinai served as the moral and legal backbone of the Israelite community. These laws, rooted in love for God and fellow humans, continue to influence societies today. Moses' life, filled with faith, obedience, and perseverance, still inspires us today. His story teaches us about the power of faith, the importance of humility, and the strength of leadership. Moses was not a perfect man, but he was a man of God, and his life serves as an enduring testament to the power of faith and the potential within us all to lead and inspire.